If you want to grow your online audience, I'm going to show you the 6 steps that you have to have dialed in order to do so. And listen, guys, I'm not just here to show you how to go viral. I'm actually teaching you how to make money with the audience you grow. Not only that, at the very end of the video, I'm going to break down to you how I use this to scale my coaching business to $2 million per year and how you can apply it to do the exact same thing for your business. Check it out. God has put a message inside of you. And your message comes out of your mess, right? Just you sharing your story, you talking to me just now in the hallway. Each one of us has a message. And I'm telling you, in this presentation, I'm believing not only are you going to be able to grow your audience, but that God is going to put a burden on your heart. Not for more money, although ideally I'm going to show you how to make some more money. How many of you want to make more money, right? Okay, we all want to make more money. We want to make more impact. We want to see more lives change. But in order to do that, there's a couple things we have to get in order first. And as we kind of dive into this presentation, I didn't come to hype you up. I'm really just going to deliver a bunch of value. It might be boring if you want to stay the same. But for those of you who are hungry and actually want to grow your audience, I think it's going to really serve you. So before we dive in, I'm just going to open us up with a quick prayer. Lord, I thank you for each and every person in this room. I thank you for every heart in each seat. And I just thank you right now, God, that you would just show up in a business mastermind and do what only you can do. Amen. All right, guys. So let's see if I can figure out how to operate my slides here. Cool. So before we dive in, I have a couple of questions. And I want you to look at this question not from just like a hype standpoint. I want you to really come to terms with this. Like, who in here wants to make more money? I do, right? What would it actually look like? So a pastor once said this: all we need God to do is say the word let. If we could get God to speak over our business, let, right? In the beginning, he said, let there be light, right? What if by the end of this talk, God said, let your audience grow? What would happen? Would you be able to steward those people? Do you actually care about your clients, or are they just a dollar sign, right? So it's good to know that I'm in a room with people who actually want to make more money. That's awesome. Who wants to make more impact? You want to see more lives changed. Like, one of the coolest things about this journey of stepping into the coaching business, I didn't come to share a lot of my story, but 6 years ago, I lived in a town called Allen. And I was just serving at a church. I was cleaning pools. I think I was making $600 a week, working 40 hours a week. I'd just gotten married with $200 in my bank account. I know that number to the T, 200. And under it was about $38,000 of debt, okay? And just so happens, I was serving in a youth group, and somebody's student came in, got saved, and he came up to me and was like, dude, do you want to work for my mom? I was like, does she pay more than $600 a week? And he was like, yeah, quite a bit more. Turns out this lady, her name is Brooke Castillo, and just right down the road, she started a company called the Life Coach School. And I was able to work for her. At the time, I was just shipping boxes. Okay, she had this program called Scholars, and I was just basically a manager of a shipping department. And over time, God elevated me to overseeing her marketing and becoming the social media manager and just being able to work with all of her clients. And through this journey, like, God has just spun the whole thing around where now I'm able to help coaches make more money and make more impact. And I believe that after this session, after this meeting, after we go to their house tomorrow, do the ice baths, work out, and just get to know each other better, we're going to leave with a clear path to make more impact. And when you make more impact, it leads me to another question. Who wants to reach more people? There's a responsibility, though, when you reach more people. So I'm asking these questions in context of it's not just hype. What would happen if you had as many followers as Rachel? There is actually a cost. There's a cost to what we're having to say yes to be able to carry these things. So I just want to share a couple things. In the last couple of years, the Lord's really blessed my business. We had a $200,000 month. I've been able to help people like Mario make $100,000 in a month. David sign a 15K client. Arzam scale to 100K a month. Giovanna, a fitness coach, tweaked her offer a little bit, went from making 8K a month to 30. John, 50K a month. a lot of people, been able to help a lot of people make a lot of money, right? And I want to help you do the same in this quick presentation. So in order to do it, you have to have 4 things in order. And I want you to write these down. Number 1, you have to know your offer, right? How many of you already have an offer? All right, about half the room. How many of you came to this event and you're like, yo, Brandon, I want to figure out what my offer is? Let me see your hand. So half the room. How many of you already have coaching clients? About half the room. How many of you have never signed a coaching client? Perfect. I think this presentation is going to be great. I was hoping it would work out that way. So yeah, you have to know your offer. Number 2, you have to have a marketing system. Write down marketing. You have to know how to tell your message to get people to resonate with it and get them into your sales process, right? Number 3, the third thing I want you to write down is sales. You have to be somewhat decent at sales. And another word for sales could be serving. And I'll talk about that some more. How when you actually have a good offer, you don't have to sell anything. You serve people into making the right decision, right? And then once we get these, 3 to 4 things there, I put mindset there. I feel like as a coach, you have to have a mindset pillar, but I really want to hit on the other 3. And once we get these in order, it opens up 3 more. At a certain point, you'll be able to hire team members. How many people in the room have team members? About 25%. How many of you want team members one day? All of us, yeah. Everyone needs an assistant. I got to meet Rachel's assistant in the back. She seems amazing. So yeah, okay. We need team members to reach more people, make more money, and create a bigger impact, right? Automations and then scale. So before we can do any of that, right, before we can scale, before we can make more money, before we can make more impact, we have to have an audience, right? And this is what I'm going to be talking about for the next 30 minutes or so, is you have to have people to talk to, right? And how many of you would say, I already have an audience? How many of you would say, I don't? I would just challenge that. You do. Everyone has an audience. Whether you have a social media platform or you have a contact list in your phone, you all have an audience. And when you get an audience, you're called to steward it. And in order to steward, you have to be giving value. And in order to give value, you have to first become the person, right? So in order to make money, you have to have an audience. In order to make money, you have to have people to sell to, right? So I'm going to show you how to get more people to sell to. And what we're going to go through very quickly is 6 things that you have to grow an audience. There is no exception. If you miss one of these, 6 months after growing your audience, you'll lose it. How many times do you see people, they blow up quickly, they get an audience, but then it turns out that they weren't really who they said they were, right? You see people blow up on social media, preaching a certain health regimen, and then they find out that they didn't even do it, right? You see pastors blow up, building huge churches, and then turns out that they were living a double life, right? And I'm sure as I'm talking, like certain people come to mind, and I'm not going to say any names, but first thing I want to talk about is mindset. And getting to sit under Brooke at the Life Coach School for quite some time, I really learned the value of taking your thoughts captive. Even in the Bible, there's a verse that says, take every thought captive and submit it to the obedience of Christ. So even if you're not a Christian, there has to be some moral foundation, especially in the world we live in today, that there is truth to some degree, right? I know in the world we live in, we want everything to be true. You can do what you want to do, feel how you want to feel. But I'm telling you, there is some degree of truth. Whether you base it on the Bible or something else, there is truth. And in order to get a good mindset, you have to know when a thought is true and when it is a lie. Some of you are sitting in these seats and you want to create more content. But the reason you haven't made your first post yet is because you truly believe that you can't grow an audience, right? Your circumstance, right? You're like, yo, Brandon, I want to make more content. Well, you haven't yet. Why? Because you think people don't like what you have to say, right? What I want you to do right now is, I wasn't going to do this, but take like 20 seconds, and I want you to write down something that you've been thinking that has been holding you back in regards to making content. I'm going to come back to it at the very end. Whether it's making content, running ads, growing your audience. For me, it was like I genuinely believed for so long that people don't like my content. So for like a year, maybe even 2, I didn't make a single post. Or even worse, I remember I would post content and I would wait about 30 seconds to see if anyone liked it, and I would delete it. Has anyone ever done that? Yeah, it's like, it's a dark moment. But okay, I want to talk about the evolution of your audience. So, bro, do I have a Sharpie? All right, cool. So this is where I see, because I work with a lot of beginners. I have like 650 clients or so, and about 300 to 400 of them were brand new coaches, and half of the room potentially is in this stage. So when you first start out, right, you have an audience. And typically, unless you go viral or you were just blessed with, inheriting an Instagram account with a ton of followers, which most people don't, the beginning stage of your audience is the hardest to post to. And it's typically friends and family. Like, I'll never forget my first couple posts. My mom would comment on every single one of them. Like, I literally had to delete her comments sometimes because they're so embarrassing, right? So when you first start out, I will honestly admit to you this. There is the most opposition because you have to overcome the people who really know you, right? Friends and family. And then what happens is over time, whether that's 3 days, 3 months, a year, there's really no framework for it, you get into friends of friends, right? This is when the business gets a little funner, right? Because the first client was a fitness coaching client that was, let's say, your aunt, your cousin, right? But then your cousin refers someone, and it's a whole different feeling. It's like, wow, I don't know you. I've never met you before, but now you're a client. And this is where I want every single person to end up, and 99% of my clients were strangers. How many of you knew Rachel personally before joining one of her offers? Raise your hand. 1. No. Perfect. No, you're good. That actually perfectly explains my point. If you want to make more impact and you want to reach more people with your business, make more money like you all told me you did, we have to reach strangers with our message, right? How many of you are coaching strangers currently? Like, you have clients and how are you getting your clients? My podcast. That's awesome. Instagram. Anyone else? Frank, Instagram. Referrals. That's one of the best way to get clients. Yeah, that's incredible. It means you have a good product. So, cool. Mindset, that kind of just, I want to just encourage you with this. If you don't start now, when are you going to start? When? Next week? Next month? Next mastermind? Next year? Next decade? What are you waiting for? Or if you really look at it, 99.9% of the times when I ask this question, it's because they don't want to face their friends and family. So some people would even create a separate Instagram account and remove the ability for people who actually know them to see their content. Don't raise your hand if you've done this. I did it too. I'm telling you, if you can face them, you'll face yourself. It's ultimately that you don't like what you see in the mirror, right? Because, like I said at the beginning, you're believing that thought that you wrote down, and it's not true. You're basing your whole business on a lie, right? And if it is a true thought, you can change it. God can change it for you. Okay, so I want to talk about offers. 50% of you said you had one, 50% said that you don't. Some of my words are cut off, but I remember them. An offer is this, and I want you to write this down on a different spot. I want you to write down the word who, how, what, proven process, and then mechanism. So in an offer, you need to know clearly who you are helping. Who is your target market? I love what Rachel said earlier. You are your testimonial. Who should you be helping? I see coaches all the time. Like, some of you know that the coaching industry, I love it, but there's some people who honestly should not be coaching yet. And if you haven't achieved something or have a proven process to help people achieve that thing, I would say you probably shouldn't coach on it, okay? The best coaching offers are whenever you can stand on a stage and say, I was this person, but now I'm this person, okay? So what should you coach on? Who should you coach? Yourself 3 years ago. You should coach the person you were before you received the transformation. How should you coach them? You should coach them on what you did. How much more powerful is it to say, I overcame this by doing this, right? You're a walking testimonial, a walking billboard. What do you coach them on? Go back to where you were 5 years ago, before you found Rachel, before you signed up for this mastermind, before you started your coaching business, and write down how you felt. Right? Write down how you were depressed, how you weren't making money, how maybe you were making money and you were still depressed. Write down what those pain points were. A coach that I think does it so well is a guy named Dave Ramsey. And I'm not pushing his values or whatever. I don't follow his method, to be honest. But it's some good stuff. And he has what's called the 7 baby steps. Right? He helps people go from being in debt to being debt-free. What are your 7 baby steps? What is your process? You have to have a framework and a process to get people to the desired result that they're paying you for. The better you make your process, the more money you'll make. A lot of people think they need more leads, they need more marketing. What you actually need is better results for your clients, because then you'll do what's happening with you. You'll get referrals. People will tell people about your product because it's actually good, right? Sweet. So with that said, some of you know that already, and if you do, it'll really help us in this next stage. And if you don't, I just want you to keep that in your notes and maybe find me after. We can talk about it. Hopefully I'll be able to have time to kind of help you through that. But after you have an offer, you go into messaging. So once we understand who we're helping, what we're helping them with, and how we are helping them, marketing is easy. What if you actually believe that sentence? 3 words. Marketing is easy. How many of you, if you're honest with me, don't believe that? Like, you can get behind, I know I can create an offer. I think I could sell it. I know I can help people. But marketing is scary. Like, how many of you are in that place where you're like, I don't have a clue on how to market? How many of you can get on board with me and you're like, yo, Brandon, you're right, marketing is easy? Yeah, cool, I love that. Sweet. Marketing. My eyeballs got cut off. I worked so hard on those. I'm just kidding. Yeah. This is what marketing is. I'm totally messing with you. This is what marketing is. You're taking the attention of the who. Earlier I mentioned who, right? People who struggle with blank, right? I'll never forget Frank. I'll mention him because he's in the room. When he first started his coaching business, he started with single dads that went through a divorce. And I was like, that's such a powerful niche because it's so clear, right? If you could clearly define your who, the next step of this process is honestly pretty easy. You have to know who you're helping, and then you have to give them a lead magnet. A lead magnet in terms of marketing doesn't have to be complex. Don't overthink it. What is something that you could exchange with them that would solve a pain point? Right? How many of you have lead magnets? Sweet. How many of you don't and you want one? Cool. Awesome. I think we'll have time to get to that. Sweet. So whenever you provide a lead magnet, I put at the end a CTA. And I'm sure Jake's going to talk about CTAs and the power of copywriting and all of that later today or tomorrow, whenever the session is. But if you have a good CTA, you will make good money. If, and I'm stressing this so hard, if it's to the right people. And I'm telling you, I really believe that God sent you here, right, to figure out who your tribe is. There's this thing in online marketing, people say all the time, if you could have 1,000 people that were in your tribe, not only would you be extremely wealthy, but you would be wealthy in other areas. Wealthy in joy. Like, guys, I'll be transparent. When I made $206K in a month at 75% profit margins, it wasn't the money. Like, I grew up so poor. Like, if you know where Greenville, Texas is, I lived not only in Greenville, Texas, but in a trailer house, okay? So making that kind of money was foreign to me. And I desired it my whole life. And I realized that it's not actually the money that makes you happy. It's the impact of the people that experience the product that you're going to be selling, right? So if you have the right people with the right lead magnets that solve their problem, for instance, if you're a weight loss coach, hey guys, here's my transformation. I put together a 3-page, document on the workouts I followed to go from point A to point B. Who wants it? That's a lead magnet, right? And you give it away in exchange for an action. Some of you can literally leave or post on your phone actually today that exact thing. Are you this person struggling with this pain point and you want this free thing? A secret that I do, a lot of my lead magnets, I don't even create. I just test them first. I test them, see if people respond, and then I'll make them. And it really helps me gauge on is this something people even want? Right? It's speed to action. You have to be quick with your marketing. A lot of people, they overthink this stuff, and then they're like, why am I not getting any leads? You haven't done anything, right? I've been there so much. So once they take the action, your promise to them is that it solves the problem. And whenever you get people to take that action, they go into what I call a pond. Okay, so I'm just thinking practically. How many of you have Instagram? You could post, literally right now, you don't have to, but you could post on your story a question. Who is struggling with blank? Whatever the offer is you overcome, right? Who's struggling in their fitness journey? And just do a poll, yes or no. Anyone who votes yes on that poll, which some people might get hundreds of votes, becomes a little fish in your pond, which we call leads. Now that we know how to take people off the internet in person and turn them into a lead, we get to nurture them, add value to them so that they become a client. All right, I honestly forgot what my next slide there said, but I believe it says content, and I'm going to go with that. So here's a couple tips for creating content. Create it. How many of you have been waiting to create content? Be honest with me. 1, 2, 3. Can I ask a couple of you, what's been kind of keeping you, for example?
Sometimes I just get too busy or in my head about it, and then
Yeah.
it's the end of the day when I don't have the brain power to actually
Yeah.
execute.
Yeah, that's so real. I'll get off Zoom calls and I'll see on my calendar a YouTube video, and I'm just like, man, I do not want to film this YouTube video. No, that's so real. Anybody else?
Your ROI, where is there going to be a return on the investment, or could you put it towards something else because you know the value of your time?
If I could prove to you that there would be an ROI, do you think you would do it?
Yeah, but that's where faith needs to come in.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. Hopefully we can get clarity on that. So, content. I'm actually going to take the same exact thing I just talked about and put it in perspective when you're making content. So whenever you're making your Instagram post, right, or your Facebook post, or a new newsletter, or a blog post, whatever piece of content, or whenever you're getting up here to gather together and present a speech, right? Who are you giving it to, right? I knew coming here that you were beginning your journey of becoming a coach, or you were already making money, right? What am I going to give you? That's what you need to ask whenever you're making this content. Who are you making it for? What are you going to give them? And how is it going to add value to solve a problem? And if it does, there should typically be, like Amberly said, a fireworks show at the end, a CTA. What's the action that they're taking at the end of your content? You would make twice as much money if at every single time you gave a speech, recorded a video, talked to somebody, you went with it with the idea of, I need you to make a decision at the end of this conversation. If there's no point of me talking to you, I try to not talk to you, to be honest. I'm at the point where I don't just have time to do fun phone calls anymore. People that used to call me, I'm sorry, I just can't talk anymore because it's pointless. Why are you making your content? Is it leading people to a decision? And if it is, what's the decision? Do you even know? Most people don't, right? So this is the ROI I wanted to talk about. I want to set expectations very clearly. What we think in our mind is that we will make one post. And we think that that post, by announcing it to the world, right? We finally make our first Instagram reel. We made our first TikTok, whatever it is. You think in your mind that you're going to experience the same thing that I experienced, or that Rachel's experienced, or Aaron. And you're like, wow, Brandon, I made a post. Like you said, I wrote down my offer. Why haven't I made any money yet? Right? And it's because you actually haven't committed to the process. What if you went to the gym one time? What if you prayed one time? Right? What if you hung out with your wife one night? Like, seriously, why are we so stupid? Like, we just actually believe this crap, that if we make one video, that we're going to make millions of dollars. It's like, it doesn't work that way. So whenever we said at the beginning, I want to make more money, do you really? Like, I don't think people see the amount of work you have to put in behind the scenes. Like, I love Amberly's story. It's almost like God was intertwined in all of it, but you don't see her behind the scenes. The insecurities she had to overcome, right? Making her first video. The hours she spent replying to comments. This is part of the price that has to be paid if you want the result that we're talking about. When you first start making content, you suck. Right? I don't even want to archive the first deleted Instagram post. I'm telling you, it was horrible. So just accept it. All your friends and family, they're going to think you suck. And it's totally fine. And over time, your videos, over time, you start to suck less. So it's almost like you start off in this negative, and you finally work your way up to ground zero. And then guess what? You have to keep doing it to even have the shot at becoming good. And once you can, finally stop sucking, you can be good. And once you finally are good for a while, you have the opportunity to potentially, maybe, just maybe, become great. And this is the price that most people are not willing to pay. They aren't willing to put out tons of content. How many of you know Alex Hormozy? Like, I love his stuff, right? Nobody knew him that long ago. Nobody. Nobody knows you right now. Let's just pretend. Some people do, but it's cool if you think about it that way. God has given you the gift of obscurity. What are you going to do with it? There's a guy in the Bible, his name's David, right? He was anointed to be king, and at the time, before he was going to become king, he was actually assigned this task. All of his brothers were at war, and God told him, or his dad, go watch my sheep, okay? Nobody saw him. Nobody saw his gift. Nobody saw how good he was at coaching, how much money he was going to make, how he was going to be king. But through the obscurity, he was able to perfect his craft, right? And this is what I wanted to talk about when it comes to growing your audience. You have a unique opportunity to get good alone before you fail in front of everyone else. It's actually a gift. If you post a reel today and you have 50 views, thank goodness. You only have to suck in front of 50 people, right? So instead of viewing it as such a negative thing, what if you actually cared about those 50 people? What if you cared about 100 views? I think maybe there's 100 in here, right? Why do we want so many views? Like, what is that? What is that insecurity that's like deep within you that's like winding you to, I need more views before I post? That's why you don't have any. Why would God give you an audience if you can't steward it? What's the point? To make more money? How shallow, right? Like, I am telling you, I was so obsessed with the thought of making more money. And then you get it and you realize that it's not what people made it out to be, right? So who's down to make more content? Can I get any commitment from that? Awesome. Cool. So I want to talk about one other thing as I kind of wrap up the presentation side is value. let me skip to this. The size and buy-in of your audience is directly correlated to the amount of value you give away for free. I think we should write that down or summarize it as best as possible. Maybe the reason you don't have the amount of clients that you want or the size of the audience that you want is because you've been hoarding all of your value. Or worse, and I've totally been here, you don't even think you're valuable. Why would anyone want to coach with me? They could go to Aaron. Well, if they were going to go to Aaron, they probably would have already done it. I believe that God has clients out there, like just even looking at the city right now as I'm talking, I believe that there are people out there that need what you have. A unique gift. You have a unique gift. You have value. Like you were created with value. Even if you don't believe in God, it doesn't matter. You have value. You've went through some fires and some mess to get a message. And like Aaron said, now it's your responsibility to tell people it, right? So you have value. I tested this. So for a while, I'm going to read this in a second, but for a while there, I had this funnel. It was called the Instagram growth funnel. Essentially, very simple. It was like an ad where you follow a script and you run it and you get a ton of new real Instagram followers that are your who with your pain point and want the outcome that you're selling, right? So you run this ad, you get a bunch of followers, and for so long, like we were scaling, I think 100K a month for like 8 months in a row, something like that. And I was keeping this funnel a secret. Like I would market it on the front end, but it was hidden away in one of my courses. And I was like, once I tell people the secret, everyone's gonna know, they're gonna steal it. They're not gonna wanna pay me, right? So for instance, in your world, if you showed people how to lose weight for free, would they still pay you, right? What if you gave away the exact diet plan you teach your students for free? What would happen? I tested this and I gave away the funnel. That month that I had kept, locked away in my program, and that month 1 of giving it away, we hit a record month. A record month, okay? So I'm telling you guys, if you'll give away your value, I'm actually glad I misspelled that, it was great. If you'll give away the thing, how many of you know the thing that you're kind of locking away? Does anybody know that proven process? Do you have one? Cool. Tell me.
So I'm unique. I have a very small niche of bookkeeping and accounting for the vacation rental industry, and my niche is knowing certain softwares and creating essentially a training program to, like, people come to us to do their accounting. Well, if I created content, and Aaron and I have talked about this, about putting it on YouTube or giving it away for free to a degree.
Yeah.
That's what I put as one of my fears is then they hire their own person, train their own person, or they, then they don't come to us. And so,
Yeah. Dude, think of this possibility. What if you put that out on YouTube and people hired other people to implement it and they never paid you, but they made a ton of money? How would you feel?
I get it.
Yeah.
The reason I'm in the industry is to help, these clients, right?
Yeah.
With their accounting. So at the end of the day, whether it's me or them doing it,
Yeah.
brings value.
Yeah. What if people watch your YouTube video, never hired you, and lost 50 pounds? Like, isn't that amazing? Right? So it's like our brain is like, we need to keep, hoard all this information that's actually going to help people. When in reality, that's what helps people. Yeah. Could you imagine 100 people, let's just say you're out in public, right? Let's say you take a trip to New York and somebody on the street stops you like, oh my gosh, Ashley, I lost 50 pounds watching your YouTube videos. Like, wow, are you in my program? No. But my friend is, that I told about you, right? So the more value you give away, there's actually old school tactics of word of mouth marketing. If your stuff is actually good, people will tell people about it and you'll get referrals, right? So by giving it away for free, not only are they probably going to hire you because they'll see that you can actually help them, but even if they don't, they'll tell someone, right? So Yeah, I tested it and it's been working great. And honestly, it sets the expectation much better for when they do join your program.
Also,
Yeah.
just piggyback on that.
Yeah.
People buy people, they don't
Yeah.
buy products or services.
Mm.
So the more that you can share your message, and just want to slam dunk this for Brandon because it's so
Yeah.
true, give it away for free because it's not about your product or your service, it's about you and your personality.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, and another thing is this fear of competition. It's so unhealthy. You don't actually have competitors. You could sell the exact same program as me, and I don't view you as a competitor. Why? Because I'm a different person, right? People buy coaches, not just coaching. It's so true, right? Go ahead.
Can I share something?
Yeah,
real quick?
totally.
So Rachel saved my life. That's A.
That's so
and
awesome.
Then because she saved my life, I was like, I need to know how to do that.
Yeah.
And Rachel is so amazing that like she literally taught me how to do what she does, not to the deepest extent.
Yeah, yeah.
And I used to, by sharing my story, send a bunch of clients to her. And she didn't care about that and taught me everything she knows so that I can help women. And like, she's the most selfless person on earth to like, because now I can help them, I don't send them to her, right?
Wow.
So I just wanted to put that out there. I was like, there really is no competition and everybody
Yeah.
has their clients.
Yeah, that's so true.
Thank you, Rachel. Love you.
I love that. Yeah, so I tested it. It totally works. And this is actually where I'm going to end, and I'll open it up. To build more value quickly, you have to build trust. There's 2 reasons you don't have a bigger audience, and there's 2 reasons that people aren't buying more of your stuff. I want you to write these 2 words down. Number 1 is trust. They don't trust you. And then number 2 is logistics, right? They don't have the time to implement your teaching. They don't have the money to join your program. They don't have the commitment, right? And trust would be they don't trust you, they don't like you, they don't know you because you haven't posted, right? Because you haven't put in the work, sowed the seed to build the audience. So there's 2 barriers that you have to break through to get to the place where God can start blessing your business and using you and, hit the income goals that some of you want to hit. How many of you want to make 7 figures in a year? $1 million? How many believe that that's actually possible? In order to do that, you have to build trust with people and you have to overcome some of these technical things that keep them from paying. So that's kind of all I had as far as presentation goes. And I know we have lunch. I wanted to take like 5 minutes here and just open it up. Does anyone have any questions about anything that I covered where you want some like live coaching really quick? Maybe I can help you with your offer, marketing, ads, anything like that. Yeah.
Is there a point where because you mentioned automations at a certain time, is there a point where you start implementing them or you think it should be implemented since the beginning so when it does happen, you're already set for that?
I love that. Yeah, so I'm going to write 3 words down. It's scale, mess, and debt. How many of you have heard this before? Anyone? Amazing. Yeah. One of the programs I was in, Sam Ovens taught on this concept, scale, mess, and debt. As you make more money, right? As you get more clients, as you grow, you create mess, right? People aren't getting, literally last night I texted Aaron, I was like, bro, I've got a mess, right? Like, people weren't getting onboarded correctly. I would have never thought about that because I didn't have people to onboard. So I would say, you'll have to figure out the mess as you go, but you can learn from people like Rachel and Aaron on what to avoid before it happens. Yeah. That's wisdom, right? So that's really the pro of having a mentor. You have something on that?
That is the exact process every one of you will grow through is scale, mess, debt. It happens by nature. The way that you shortcut the mess and the debt is by being in rooms like this and asking intelligent questions and getting a coach or a mentor.
Yes.
And debt does not mean financial debt only.
Yeah.
So you
Emotional
scale
debt,
your
relationship
business,
debt.
you end up with a mess, and then you are doing all the work yourself. So the mess is you need to hire people.
Yep.
There's so many different messes that can be created, and then in these periods you create a lot of infrastructure. But just like you said, when you work with somebody who's been there and sees those obstacles far before you're about to get there, they can help you get those things in place so you can scale, and then you can almost catch yourself. And
Yeah.
That's what we're doing a lot in my business right now. We have a lot of the structure, so when we scale, we can catch it, but that's because, we've been able to work with coaches to help
Yeah.
us along the way. But yeah, debt and emotional, your physical health, mental health,
Yeah.
all of those things are debt. It's not just you have financial debt.
Yeah. No, that's so good. Like when I started my business, I had an opposite goal. I wanted to gain weight. So I gained like 20 pounds or something like that. I started my business. I started making more money. And I went into debt with my health. Why? I was working too much, right? I pulled back on certain priorities to basically run around like a chicken with my head cut off with all this mess, right? You say you want 650 clients, but you don't want the mess, right? That's the whole value of being in the room. So, yeah, are we good on time? A couple more. Sweet. Anybody else have anything? Or one sec, did that help?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sweet. What's up, dude?
I heard impact when you mentioned like somebody stopping you on the street and like they got value from you. Like I respect that. Like granted, I want to make a shit ton of money. I can't wait. But to have that impact on somebody, to be able to give freely of myself and do something for somebody else, that's what's up.
Yeah, bro. I would say this too. People say that once I get X amount of dollars, I will do the thing. No, you won't. I promise. If you can't do it with $10, how in the heck could you give away 10,000? You won't, right? I'm not coming at you. I'm just saying, like, bringing you in on like what I've experienced. And if you're not impacting 5 people, how are you going to impact 500? Right? So that's so true. And that's why I think it's a verse in the Bible. It says, do not despise the days of small beginnings. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Sweet. Anyone else have something? What's up?
What's the number one thing you personally use to overcome your self-doubt when that voice comes in?
Dude, like transparently, like the last week or two, that voice has been there a lot. Like literally driving here today, I was like, man, like I just don't feel like I have value. Honestly, I was like, okay, like, I'll come and I'll do what I do, but I didn't feel it, right? Do it anyway. That's gonna happen all the time. It happens to all of us. Like, if it's not happening to you, please come share how you're right? So, no, I would just say do it anyway, and then get around people like Aaron. Like, that's practically, like, be connected with people who will push you to do it anyway. Like, I went to a mastermind with one of Aaron's friends, and I've never done a cold plunge. Like, I think that was 7 days ago, something like that, and I did a cold plunge. I would have never done that alone, I promise. But I'm telling you, if you get around people who will push you to be uncomfortable, yeah. So, cool. Let's do one more. I feel like there's one more person. Cool.
Yeah, I was just wondering what it makes you up for someone such as myself. Like, I kind of feel like I don't really know what I have to offer or my value yet. Like, I'm just kind of starting out getting that motivation.
Yeah, there's a question I always ask people, and I love it. What is something you hate seeing people stuck in? Did anything come to mind?
Well, I have a degree in social work, so I was really, just feeling stuck, feeling lost.
Yeah. Did you ever feel that way in your journey? Did you overcome it, or are you still kind of
I say it's still in it.
still in it? Is that what you want to coach on? Like, if there was a way for you to get out, would you want to help other people? Yeah, I mean, certain people might give different opinions. I would say, kind of like the thing with obscurity, like, I don't think we as humans, we want things quickly. We want to start it right now. You can start your business without fully being out of that season yet, just as long as you're making progress, right? So this last example I'll give, in coaching, if it were a book, right? Let's say we're on our clients are on page 1, and we feel like we need to be on page 300 in order to make an offer, right? We have to be an expert. If they're on page 1 and you're on page 3, you can sell them page 2 for a lot of money, right? So all you need to do is be a couple steps ahead in order to make an offer. So it's not like I'm gonna get you completely unstuck, but maybe there's one area of progress you've had. You're here, Like if you were stuck, you wouldn't be here. So you're definitely making progress. So yeah, that's what I would say. Cool, guys. Well, yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be around. So yeah, totally.
Hey, hang for the set.
Yeah.
This resonates. What was your name in the back? Just ask the question.
Tanya.
Tanya. Okay. Something I teach on with the guys, and Brandon, if you want to piggyback on this too, is a diagram. I call it the purpose formula. You write purpose in the center of your piece of paper. These 4 P's can help drive towards that thing you should be teaching on. And it starts with your pain. And so the thing that you've walked through, you talked about the dip theory that we just went through, whatever struggle that you walk through is going to be very unique to you. And that should be really the piggyback point where you start to share from. From your pain, you're going to drive your passion. What is your pain drives your passion? Passion, the root of passion really means to suffer well. From the purpose pain and passion is a play, an area of play. What do you do better than anybody else that you would do for free? Think about if money wasn't an issue, like what would you do for free? I think about coaching, teaching, facilitating. I love doing this. I could do this all day long. I think about pain, like growing up without a father was really difficult. It was hard. Not knowing that I was doing it right as a man was a big pain. So I sought a lot of answers in that department. Passionate about helping and serving men, because I recognize there's so many guys that are suffering and struggling and doing it alone. Play, and then teaching, coaching, facilitating. I love that. It's easy for me, and I would do it absolutely for free. Then my priorities start to shift around that. Priorities during the day. I think about my time in the day when I'm at my best and how I can spend more of my time in these 3 other areas. This will start pointing the direction towards your purpose. It's a funnel exercise. You write down 3 to 5 things that have been a pain, 3 to 5 things that are fun to you, 3 to 5 things that you're passionate about. You're going to find a theme, girl. And you follow that theme, that's the golden thread. That golden thread shows up, and you start sharing that to the world. Cool.
Yeah, that's so good. And could I do one thing? Take 30 seconds. Yeah. So I feel like I wouldn't be complete. I wouldn't have completed my assignment if I didn't lead you to a decision. So if you could, everyone just close your eyes. I'm not going to do anything weird. You know that sentence that you wrote down. I want you to look at it again if you don't. But I'm betting that through this talk, you've been believing a lie. And I want you right now to decide to make a change. Right? And in order to do that, there's a lot of different philosophies, a lot of different ways you could do it. But I want you to talk to someone today, whether it's God, whether it's Aaron, me, Rachel, whoever, and I want you to expose that thing. I want you to literally take it, because it's in the darkness of your mind right now, and I want you to pull it out at some point today and tell someone exactly what you wrote down. And when you do, it's going to lose all its power. And I'll just say a quick prayer as we end. God, I thank you for each person in this room. I thank you that you've called them to more, to build an audience, to make impact for your name. And I thank you that what they wrote down is not their true identity. And they don't have to live with it. So as they begin to share and commit to making a change, I thank you that you're going to bless it. In Jesus' name, amen. Guys, I hope this video helped you. Would appreciate a like, a comment, a subscription to the channel, or honestly, if you just share it with a friend that you think it would bless. But I do want to make this opportunity available to you. If you're a coach, consultant, or somebody who just wants to start their online coaching business, ideally, you're somebody who wants to scale. If that's you, what I want you to do is click the link down below, and I want you to book in a call with me and my team. All we're going to do is chat with you about where you're at currently in your business, where you want to get to, and see if we can identify any of the bottlenecks that might be holding you back. Maybe it's team issues, marketing issues, operation issues, whatever it is, we're going to be here to help. So if that's you, go ahead, click the link down below, book in a time to chat with us, and we'll talk to you soon.